I never believed in past lives or reincarnation or any of that mystical stuff. I am a graphic designer. I deal in pixels and color theory and client revisions, not cosmic connections and karmic debts. But then I met Thaddeus, and everything I thought I knew about the universe got turned completely upside down. It started on a Wednesday afternoon in October. I was walking past this old jewelry shop on Clement Street that I'd passed 100 times before without ever going inside. The kind of place with a faded awning and dusty window displays that look like they haven't been updated since the 70s. But that day, the crystal on my watch face shattered, just cracked right down the middle for no apparent reason. I wasn't even doing anything, just walking, and suddenly there were spiderweb fractures across the glass. I stopped and stared at it, annoyed because it was my grandfather's watch. Not worth a fortune or anything, but it meant something to me. He'd given it to me before he died, told me it would keep me on time for all the important moments in my life. I'd worn it every day for 6 years. The jewelry shop was right there, so I figured why not. The bell above the door made this soft tinkling sound as I walked in, and the smell hit me immediately. Old wood and metal polish, and something else I couldn't quite place. Something almost like incense, but not quite. The shop was small and cramped, every surface covered with display cases full of rings and necklaces and bracelets. There was classical music playing softly from somewhere, something baroque and intricate. And behind the counter stood this man who made me forget why I'd walked in there in the first place. He was maybe in his mid-30s, with dark hair that fell across his forehead and these intense gray-green eyes that seemed to look right through me. He wore a jeweler's loop pushed up on his forehead and a black button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up to his elbows. His forearms were lean and strong, and I could see the precise movements of his hands as he worked on something tiny and delicate with a set of tweezers. He looked up when I entered, and our eyes met, and I swear to God something happened in that moment. It felt like recognition, like déjà vu but stronger. Like my entire body knew him, even though my brain had never seen him before. "Hi," I managed to say, my voice coming out rougher than I intended. "My watch broke. Can you fix it?" He set down his tools carefully and stood up, and I noticed he was tall, maybe 6'2". He moved with this careful grace, like every gesture was considered and intentional. "Let me see," he said, and his voice was deep and warm, with just a hint of an accent I couldn't quite place. Maybe Eastern European, maybe something else. I unbuckled the watch and handed it to him, and when his fingers brushed against mine, I felt this jolt of electricity that shot straight up my arm and into my chest. From the way his eyes widened slightly, I think he felt it too. He examined the watch closely, turning it over in his hands, holding it up to the light. His fingers were long and elegant, the nails clean and trimmed short. I found myself staring at those hands, imagining them touching other things, touching me. "This is a beautiful piece," he said softly. 1956 Omega C Master, your grandfather's?" "How did you know that?" I asked, startled. He smiled, and it transformed his entire face. "Lucky guess. These watches, they get passed down. They carry history." He spent a long moment just looking at the watch, running his thumb over the broken crystal, and then he looked up at me with an expression I couldn't read. "Should clean the movement while I'm at it." "I can fix this," he said. "The crystal needs to be replaced, and I should clean the movement while I'm at it. It'll take maybe an hour. You can wait if you'd like, or come back." "How much will it cost?" I asked, already calculating whether I could afford it this month. He shook his head slowly. "No charge." I blinked. "What?" "No, I can't let you do that. This is your business." "I know," he said, and he was looking at me with those intense eyes again, and I felt like I couldn't breathe properly. "But I owe you. From before." "Before? I've never been in here before. We've never met." "Not in this life," he said quietly, and the way he said it, so matter-of-fact, made goosebumps rise on my arms. I should have laughed. I should have grabbed my watch and walked out. Instead, I heard myself say, "I'll wait." He nodded like he'd expected that answer, and he gestured to a worn leather chair in the corner. "Make yourself comfortable. There's tea if you want it." I sat down and he went back to work on my watch, and I watched him. I couldn't help it. There was something hypnotic about the way he moved, the absolute focus and precision. He worked in silence for a while, the only sounds the ticking of a dozen clocks on the walls and the soft classical music. "My name is Thaddeus," he said after about 10 minutes, not looking up from the watch. "I'm Marcus," I replied. "Marcus," he repeated, like he was tasting the name. "Yes, that fits." "What do you mean? You owe me from before?" I asked, because I couldn't stop thinking about it. He was quiet for so long I thought he wasn't going to answer. Then he set down his tools and looked directly at me. "I don't usually talk about this," he said. "People think I'm crazy, but since I was a child, I've had these memories that aren't mine, flashes of other lives, other times. I've learned to live with it, to not question it too much. But sometimes I meet someone, and I know them. I know their soul." My heart was pounding. "And you think you know me?" "I know I do," he said simply. "We've met before. Multiple times, actually. Different lives, different circumstances, but always I failed you. I let you down when you needed me most." This should have been my cue to leave. This was clearly a very strange man saying very strange things, but instead I felt this pull toward him, this inexplicable certainty that he was telling the truth, or at least that he believed he was telling the truth. And somehow that mattered. "What happened?" I asked. "In these other lives?" He turned back to the watch, using a tiny tool to carefully pry out the broken crystal. "In one life, you were a soldier and I was a medic. You were wounded and I couldn't save you. I've carried that guilt for lifetimes." He paused, selecting a new crystal from a small box. "In another, we were brothers. You trusted me with a secret and I betrayed that trust. You died alone because of my cowardice." "That's heavy," I said, trying to keep my tone light even though my hands were shaking. "I know how it sounds," he said. "You don't have to believe me. But this is why I can't charge you. It's a small thing, fixing a watch, but it's something I can do, something I can give you." I watched him work in silence for a while, processing this. Part of me wanted to dismiss it all as delusion or some kind of elaborate pickup line. But there was something about him, something about the way I felt in his presence that made me want to believe. "Were we ever lovers?" I asked suddenly, surprising myself. "In any of those lives?" His hands stilled. He looked up at me, and the expression on his face was so raw, so vulnerable, that I felt it in my chest like a physical ache. "Once," he said quietly. "A long time ago. 1800s, I think. You were a teacher. I was a watchmaker, actually. Funny how some things carry through. We had to hide what we were to each other. It wasn't safe to be open. And then you got sick. Tuberculosis. I held your hand while you died, and I couldn't do anything to save you." Tears were suddenly burning in my eyes, and I didn't even know why. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "You have nothing to be sorry for," he said. "I'm the one who spent lifetimes trying to make amends." He went back to work on the watch, and I sat there feeling like the ground had shifted beneath me. I didn't know what I believed about past lives or reincarnation, but I knew what I felt. I felt like I'd been waiting my whole life to walk into this shop, like everything that had happened before was just prologue to this moment. "The watch is almost done," Thaddeus said after a while. "I'm just regulating the movement now. It was running about 30 seconds fast per day." "You can tell that just by looking at it?" I asked. He smiled slightly. "Practice. I've been doing this for a long time. In this life, I mean. 15 years professionally. But it feels like longer. Like I've always known how to do this." "Because you were a watchmaker before?" "Maybe. Or maybe I just found my way back to what I knew. He made a few final adjustments, then held the watch up to his ear, listening. He nodded, satisfied, then handed it back to me. "Try it on," he said. I buckled it around my wrist. The new crystal was perfectly clear, and through it I could see the movement ticking away steadily. It looked beautiful, better than it had in years. "It's perfect," I said. "Thank you, really, but I have to pay you something." "No," he said firmly. "Please, let me do this." I looked at him, at this strange, intense man who claimed to have known me across lifetimes, and I made a decision. "Then let me buy you dinner," I said, "to say thank you." Something flickered in his eyes. Hope, maybe. "You don't have to do that." "I know, but I want to. If you want to, I mean. No pressure." He was quiet for a moment, and I could see him thinking, weighing something internal. Then he smiled, and it was like the sun coming out. "I would like that very much," he said. "There's a small Italian place 2 blocks from here. Francesca's. Do you know it?" "I'll find it. What time do you close?" 6. "I could meet you there at 6:30. "It's a date," I said, and then immediately wondered if I should have used that word. But he didn't seem to mind. If anything, his smile got wider. I left the shop feeling like I was floating. The bell tinkled again as I walked out into the afternoon sunlight, and I looked down at my grandfather's watch on my wrist, ticking away steadily, keeping time. That dinner turned into another dinner, which turned into coffee, which turned into long walks through the city where Thaddeus would point out buildings and tell me stories about what used to be there, what he remembered from other times. I still didn't know if I believed in his past life memories, but I believed in the way he made me feel. Safe, known, seen in a way I'd never been seen before. We talked about everything. He told me about growing up in Prague, moving to the States when he was 19, learning English by watching old movies and reading repair manuals. He told me about the first time he remembered another life, when he was 7 years old and suddenly knew how to speak Latin, even though he'd never studied it. He told me about the loneliness of carrying memories that no one else shared, of feeling out of step with time. I told him about losing my parents in a car accident when I was 22, about being raised by my grandfather after that, about choosing graphic design because I wanted to create things that would outlast me. I told him about failed relationships and the fear that I'd never find someone who understood me. I told him things I'd never told anyone, and slowly, carefully, we fell in love. Or maybe we remembered being in love. I still don't know which. The first time he kissed me was on a foggy November evening, standing on the beach at sunset. We'd been walking for hours, talking about nothing and everything, and suddenly he stopped and turned to me and said, "I've wanted to do this for 3 lifetimes." And then his lips were on mine, and it felt like coming home. It felt like every kiss I'd ever had was just practice for this one. His hands cupped my face so gently, like I was something precious, something he'd lost before and found again. When we finally pulled apart, I was shaking. "That was worth waiting for," I managed to say. "I'm sorry it took so long," he whispered against my lips. "In this life, I mean. I saw you walk past the shop so many times. I wanted to run out and stop you, but I didn't know how. And then you finally came in, and it felt like the universe giving me another chance. You saw me before, passing by? Every time. I memorized your walk, the way you check your phone while you walk, the way you always look up at the sky before you cross the street. I thought I was going crazy, feeling this pull toward a stranger. But you weren't a stranger, were you?" "No," I said, and I meant it. "I don't think you were ever a stranger." We started spending every free moment together. I'd go to the jewelry shop after work and sit in the corner chair, watching him work, bringing him coffee and sandwiches because he'd forget to eat when he was focused on a repair. He'd show me the pieces he was working on, explain the intricacies of different watch movements, the history of different jewelry styles. He'd close the shop, and we'd walk to his apartment above a bakery, and we'd cook dinner together in his tiny kitchen, and we'd talk until late into the night. He'd show me his notebooks, filled with sketches and notes about memories from other lives. Some of it was mundane, shopping lists and addresses from decades ago. Some of it was profound, philosophical observations about the nature of time and love and loss. "Do you ever wish you could forget?" I asked him one night, lying in his bed with my head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "Does it hurt, carrying all of this?" "Sometimes," he admitted, his fingers running through my hair. "But I think I'm meant to remember. I think that's my purpose, in a way, to carry forward what was, to honor the lives that came before, and maybe to finally get it right." "Get what right?" "Loving you," he said simply. "Every other time something went wrong, war, disease, circumstance. But maybe this time we get to just be together, just be happy." I tilted my head up to look at him. In the dim light from the street, his face was all shadows and angles, beautiful and familiar. "I'm not going anywhere," I promised. "Not in this life." He kissed my forehead. "I'll hold you to that." That was 8 months ago. We've been together ever since, navigating the normal challenges of any relationship, learning each other's quirks and habits and boundaries. Is to do dishes, or what to watch on, is to do dishes, or what to watch on Netflix. But underneath all the ordinary moments, there's this extraordinary foundation, this sense that we've been building toward us, for longer than we can measure. When I wake up next to him, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. When he holds my hand, I feel connected to something larger than myself. I still wear my grandfather's watch every day. It keeps perfect time now, never fast, never slow. Sometimes I catch Thaddeus looking at it with this soft expression, and I know he's remembering the day I walked into his shop, the day everything changed. Last week, he told me about another memory that had surfaced. We were sitting on his couch, my feet in his lap, and he was absently massaging my ankles while he talked. "I remembered something new," he said quietly. "From the life where I was a watchmaker and you were a teacher. We had this plan to leave, to go somewhere we could be open about what we were to each other. We were going to go to Paris. I had money saved up, and we were going to open a shop together. You would teach English to expatriates, and I would make watches, and we would just be ourselves. But you got sick before we could go," I said. "Yes. And I spent the rest of that life wondering what would have happened if we'd left sooner, if I'd been braver." I pulled my feet back and moved closer to him, taking his hand. "You're brave now," I said. "You told me about all of this when you could have just fixed my watch and let me leave. You risked me thinking you were crazy." "I couldn't let you leave," he said. "Not again. Not when I finally had the chance to make things right." "So what do you want to do?" I asked. "In this life, I mean. What's our plan?" He looked at me with those intense gray-green eyes, and I saw hope and love and determination there. "I want everything," he said. "I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to build a life with you. I want to finally go to Paris, if you'll come with me. I want to do all the things we never got to do before." "Yes," I said, not even having to think about it. "Yes to all of it." He kissed me then, deep and slow, and I felt it all the way down to my toes. When we broke apart, he rested his forehead against mine. "Thank you," he whispered. "For what?" "For walking into my shop, for staying, for giving me another chance." "You don't have to thank me for that," I said. "You don't owe me anything, Thaddeus. Not from this life or any other. We're starting fresh, okay? No debts, no guilt, just us. Here, now." But he shook his head. "It's not about debt anymore. It's about gratitude. I'm grateful for every life that led me to this one, because this is the one where I get to keep you." I think about that conversation a lot. I think about fate and chance and the mysterious ways the universe works. I think about all the times I walked past that jewelry shop without going in, and what might have happened if my watch hadn't broken that particular day. Would I have ever met him? Or would we have kept missing each other, two souls circling but never connecting? I don't know if I believe in past lives. I don't know if Thaddeus and I really knew each other in other times, other places. But I know what I feel, and I know that what we have is real and precious and worth holding on to. My grandfather used to say that a good watch is about precision and reliability, about marking time accurately so you don't miss the important moments. I think he'd be happy to know that his watch led me to mine, that it broke at exactly the right time, in exactly the right place, and brought me to the person I was meant to find. Thaddeus still won't let me pay him for that repair. He says it was the best investment he ever made, spending an hour fixing a watch in exchange for a lifetime with me. I've stopped arguing about it. Instead, I just try to show him every day that he made the right choice, that this life, this time, we're going to get it right. We're planning that trip to Paris for next spring. Thaddeus wants to visit the old watchmaking district, see if any of the shops he remembers are still there. I just want to walk along the Seine with him, eat croissants in sidewalk cafes, and see the city through his eyes. Maybe we'll find echoes of those other lives there, or maybe we'll just make new memories. Either way, we'll be together. Sometimes late at night, when we're lying in bed and he thinks I'm asleep, I hear him whisper, "Thank you," into the darkness. Thank you for finding him, for believing him, for loving him, and I want to tell him that I'm the one who should be grateful, that he's given me something I didn't even know I was missing, a sense of belonging that goes deeper than this lifetime, a love that feels both brand new and ancient. But I don't say anything. I just hold him tighter and listen to the sound of his breathing and the ticking of my grandfather's watch on the nightstand, marking time, keeping us on schedule for all the important moments still to come. I never believed in past lives or reincarnation or cosmic connections, but I believe in Thaddeus. I believe in the way he looks at me like he's seeing something precious he thought he'd lost forever. I believe in the feeling I get when he touches me, like recognition and discovery all at once. I believe that some connections transcend explanation, that some loves are bigger than a single lifetime. And I believe that sometimes the universe gives us exactly what we need exactly when we need it, even if it comes in the form of a broken watch and a jeweler who claims to owe you a debt from a past life. Sometimes the most extraordinary things start with the most ordinary moments. And sometimes, if we're very lucky, we get to keep them.